The roar of the engines, the thrill of a title fight. And then something very odd happened. In the year when Oscar Piastri seemed poised to break through, the momentum simply slipped away. And Max Verstappen is watching it all in real time, saying what most of us only dared to whisper. I have no explanation for that, to be honest. I find it very bizarre. He adds, quietly but pointedly, "No, I don't think so. But honestly, I also don't know how this is possible." From one angle, it looked like a storybook rise. Piastri, after some brilliant early wins, had looked like he was sliding into the driver's seat for his first world championship. Meanwhile, his teammate Lando Norris struggled in the early months, a gap forming that many believed would never close. But now, that narrative has flipped, dramatically. Verstappen, the 4 times champion, knows a thing or two about momentum. He's felt the highs, he's faced adversity. He observes that sometimes you come back to reality and know that it won't go like that everywhere. He points out how his own resurgence, he's more consistent than what it was from mid-2024 to mid-2025, is partly due to circumstances aligning. They made a few mistakes after the summer break or had a crash, while we had some good races in which everything came together. And yeah, then you can gain very quickly. But his eyes are still on McLaren, because there's something in the air. Something odd. The internal McLaren battle that once leaned so heavily in favour of Piastri has suddenly turned. What seems secure now feels fragile. What felt unstoppable now feels vulnerable. Powerful one week, invisible the next. Norris has overcome the struggle. Piastri has faltered. The gap has grown. As Norris himself put it, "It's hard not to do a better job than what I was doing at the beginning of the season. I certainly struggled." He admitted the car didn't suit him early on, that his style didn't match the machine. He said, "Those difficult times certainly allowed me to be a little bit more positive about myself, allowed me to focus, and I started to do a lot more work on all of those things to improve them, which has led me to be in this much stronger position." The mental side, always the unseen frontier, became his battleground. Meanwhile, Piastri's dominance started to fade. He hasn't won since the turn. He's piled up stress. He's looked for answers. And the team? The whispers are growing louder. Verstappen watches this, not with schadenfreude, but with a knowing calm. He says he would have handled the situation differently. No, but I think that has to do with how they operate as a team as well. That's not how I operate. I would probably have been a bit more annoyed, I think, when you're that far ahead and suddenly that far behind. Think about that. When you go from front runner to under par, do you fold quietly or do you roar back? Verstappen is implying Piastri's camp didn't roar. They tiptoed. And he finds that very strange. Because in this world, the moment you lose your grip, the race to get it back becomes a fight against invisible forces, morale, team unity, pressure. And make no mistake, this is a fight. In Brazil, the drama reached a flashpoint when Piastri received a penalty that many, inside and outside McLaren, called unacceptable. Verstappen observes, "Yeah, I don't know why they handled it like that. In the end, you can be angry about it, but the penalty will still stand anyway. You just have to live with it." He quietly notes, "If you have a problem with that, then you need to contact the stewards or the FIA, and maybe you can talk about it for the future." The underlying tone, McLaren didn't fight loud enough. Maybe they couldn't. Maybe they chose not to. Unlike him, they didn't slam the table. Because here's the bigger question. What happens when the team dynamic that carried you suddenly shifts? When your co-pilot starts out, then overtakes you? When you've built yourself a foundation for the title, and then the ground cracks beneath you? Piastri didn't suddenly forget how to drive, Verstappen insists. But something changed. Something unseen. The pressure, the mindset, the car, the team, or all of the above. And meanwhile, Norris, calmer, reinvented, clear-headed, has grabbed the spear. "I come here this weekend to try and win. I still treat it as if I'm not in a championship. I'm just here to try and win this weekend, and that's the mentality I'll have over the next few weeks. Nothing changes because of whatever points I've got. The leader of the pack, but acting like he's fighting for everything, because he knows the moment you assume you've already won is the moment you lose. Back-to-back faces. On one side, Piastri's fading lead, the silent questions. On the other, Norris on the rise, regrouped and refocused. And looking in from the wider world, Verstappen sees it all and calls it very bizarre. It's a rare admission from a racer known for certainty. He says he's not going to cry if he doesn't win the championship either. No, I'll still go on holiday. I'm pretty good at putting things into perspective and letting things go. We're watching a shift, a storm brewing. Not just between teammates, but inside a team. Identity, confidence, structure, all under test. And as we head into the final rounds, the question isn't just who wins, but who survives. Because we've seen Piastri's moment and it's slipped. We've seen Norris scramble, rebuild, strike. We've seen Verstappen observe, and maybe, just maybe, prepare. So, what does it all mean? What is really going on inside McLaren right now? And how did Oscar Piastri, once hailed as the next big champion, suddenly find himself chasing shadows? Let's go back to Zandvoort. That weekend in August was supposed to be his coronation. Norris's car gave out, and Piastri stormed to another win, his 7th of the season. At that point, he was flying high, 34 points clear in the championship, people whispering he might wrap it up early. And now, just 3 rounds to go. Piastri hasn't won a single race since then. He's been outscored in 6 straight weekends. Norris? He's taken 2 wins, finished ahead every single time, and now leads the championship by 24 points. Think about that turnaround. It's the kind of collapse you don't see often in Formula 1. Not unless something goes seriously wrong. Verstappen called it very bizarre, and that word is doing a lot of heavy lifting. Is it the pressure? Team politics? Technical changes? Or just a driver losing form at the worst possible moment? But if it's a collapse on one side, it's a comeback on the other. And Norris has made it look methodical. After struggling early in the year, fighting a car that didn't suit his late-braking, aggressive entry style, he regrouped. "I'm almost happier that I had a pretty crappy beginning of the year," Norris said in Vegas. "Those difficult times allowed me to be more positive about myself, allowed me to focus." That's the mindset of a fighter who's not just trying to win, but to evolve. He didn't just want to beat Piastri, he wanted to beat himself from 5 months ago. But it wasn't all in his head. The car changed too. A suspension update in Canada helped balance the car's quirks, making it more responsive to Norris's style. That mechanical shift mattered. But without the mental reset, it wouldn't have meant much. And Norris is clear about that. He says the turning point wasn't Zandvoort. The real shift happened earlier. He felt it building, quietly, steadily. By the time Zandvoort broke Piastri's way, Norris was already sharpening the blade. So what now? If Norris finishes second in the final 3 races, even if Piastri wins them all, he's still champion. That's the hard math. But Formula 1 doesn't follow scripts. It never does. Remember 2016? Nico Rosberg did exactly that. Finished second, no risks, just percentages. Played the long game. Verstappen remembers. We all do. But Norris doesn't want to hear about that. "What's done me so well the last few weekends is going flat out," he said. "Staying out of the chaos behind. So I think it's not the right mindset to have." He doesn't want to cruise, he wants to charge. Nothing changes because of whatever points I've got. And maybe that's what makes this fight so brutal for Piastri. Because while he's scrambling to get back into the mix, Norris isn't looking down. He's looking ahead, full throttle. It's not arrogance, it's tunnel vision. And in this sport, that's deadly. Meanwhile, Verstappen continues to circle. The Dutchman's own title hopes are flickering. He's more than halved the gap since summer, but he knows the odds. "I need a lot of luck," he admits. "Unless chaos or fortune intervenes." Still, chaos is never far in Formula 1, and Max thrives in it. He says he won't cry if he doesn't win his 5th title. "I'll still go on holiday." But behind that relaxed tone is a champion watching closely, waiting for any slip. And let's not forget the penalties. In Brazil, Piastri got slapped with one many called unfair. Even Carlos Sainz said it was unacceptable. McLaren, strangely quiet about it, just took it. Verstappen noted that, too. At Red Bull, they would have roared. If you have a problem with that, then you need to contact the stewards or the FIA, he said. Maybe you can talk about it for the future. McLaren didn't. Why? That's the haunting question. Why the silence? Why the sudden power shift inside the team? Why did Piastri, once untouchable, fade? And did Norris break through, or did Oscar simply break? The answers are probably buried deep inside McLaren's debrief rooms, where every glance, every whisper, every data point becomes part of a bigger story. A story of pressure, of politics, of potential either fulfilled or wasted. And through all of this, Max Verstappen stands apart, watching. Not driving this story, but reacting to it like a man who's been here before. A man who knows what a real title fight costs. So here's the question we leave you with. Is Oscar Piastri still in this fight, or did Lando Norris take his soul in silence? Let us know what you think. Who's cracked under pressure, and who's mastered it? Is Verstappen still lurking as the Chaos King? And has McLaren accidentally built a champion by breaking another? Because if this is how the story ends, it's going to be brutal.